A lot of people want to blame King V for the Dance of Dragons, you know, the Targaryen civil war we'll see in House of the Dragon. They point at the moment in episode 2 where King V chooses Alicent over the 6-year-old Laena.
I intend to marry the Lady Alicent Hightower.
And I'm really thinking to myself, I don't think it really makes that big of a difference. But Gator, do you really think if he picked Laena, things would be that much better?
No, you know what? I thought about this a lot, actually. And, well, I'll give you a spoiler. In the end, no, I don't think it would have made a difference.
This is an absurdity.
But on the surface, I guess I do somewhat understand why people would think that just because of how the alliances stacked up. But you know, the general audience now, after sitting with season 1 for so long, you're right. They do kind of blame King V and they say, why didn't he get with her? So that's kind of weird, isn't it? The whole fandom is kind of pushing for this, you know, 60-year-old man to get with, how old is she again? Laena Velaryon?
I don't remember, but she looks so young, dude. She looks like
extremely young.
She looks like she's 6 years old.
What?
I'm sure she might be a little bit older, and I know I don't know if they aged her up or down from the books, but they definitely aged up, I think, Alicent from her age in the books. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I agree. But anyway, I do think that this would actually not have made a difference in the end, because what's really the crux of this? What does it come down to? It comes down to whether or not King V has a son after Rhaenyra, you know, with whatever new wife he has. Because Otto, you can say Otto had like way more, you know, eggs in the basket because it was his own daughter. And I'm sure that did motivate him, you know, not to mention he was trying to constantly get Rhaenyra to marry various things to get his blood in the mix, right?
Who do you have in mind?
Prince Aegon.
Boy just turned 2, Otto. Yes, but it would cease the endless proposals for Rhaenyra's hand.
But Otto's still in support of the precedent set in the past of Westeros by always having a male on the Iron Throne. And in his defense, too, dude, it would keep the peace. Like, we're on Team Green on this channel for the most part because they're kind of operating on pure logic. I understand that they're also power hungry, but, dude, the logic's on their side. It's through and through. Plus, Rhaenyra sucks, man. So I think that's really what it comes down to. We can go into the details of it, but it's basically assuming that King V has the same kids that he had with Alicent, except now, you know, it's a quarter black. It's still going to be the same conflict in the end.
And I think Rhaenys would just think, oh, don't worry, I'll let you appoint your Rhaenyra over my male-born son with my daughter and you, Viserys. No, if men are going to take precedent over women in Westeros, then my son will take precedent over your daughter, right? Because she's not going to get bit both times on opposite ways. It doesn't make sense. Also, I don't think, maybe we'll do a whole video on this later, but I don't think people understand how much things would destabilize or maybe would just cause chaos if for some reason, you know, the first female could inherit things over the first son as long as the first female is born first. So like there's like, I forgot what it's called, like the exact term for it. No, not prima nocta. Prima nocta is when you can have yeah, not even close.
I'm sorry. I had a very different understanding as to what prima nocta meant.
More based.
Yeah. But if that happened, then you know how many alliances would be thrown into question, or you know who inherits what within certain parts of the realm. Like it would just cause like more confusion. So instead of causing more confusion, let's just put Aegon on the throne. We don't have to worry about it. But no, they thinking more of like a selfish and more of like ideological bent from it. Yeah, the Greens are way more pragmatic and thinking, hey, we'll keep stability in the realm by following the status quo, and we can maybe make little shades of differences, but you know, shades of changes, I should say.
Yeah,
but we're not gonna like, you know, we're not gonna, you know, break the wheel like Daenerys wants to do.
No, you don't need to break the wheel like Daenerys wants to do. And you're 100% right about the female thing. It is really for simplicity's sake. And it's kind of, is there anything saying that females can't be hands of the king too, by the way? Because if somebody really wants control in the realm, like Rhaenys, you know, she wants to use her little alien death rays from her crystal skull head she's got going on. If that's what she wants to do and control the populace or have some sway, being the hand of the king is actually a much more powerful position. The king is more or less just a figurehead, right? So I guess if that's what they want, if they just want like the popularity of it, I suppose. But I don't get that vibe in Game of Thrones. To me, it seems like people actually want real power, except for Corlys. He just wants it to be remembered.
He just wants his name on things, right?
Oh, you know, which is even weirder because I don't think he's not even going to be remembered. Like in 3 generations, it's going to be Targaryen last name. I guess if you look in the big book of, you know, people's hair color, you'll go way back and see that I guess this guy's relative was Valerian, but you and me both know by Game of Thrones time that name is not even brought up. So it's kind of a moot point. I think people mainly just want power.
No, yeah, they want power. They want their name on things, which makes sense why Corlys wants to like jump in there as soon as he can. Which makes me think like if there's a male heir to Laena and King V's child in this alternate situation scenario, whatever you want to call it, Corlys is gonna back that son. He's gonna say, "Listen, this is my boy. He would have the most power," and he's right. It makes sense. I don't blame him either. Just like how Otto in his situation, what he's doing, and Otto, this is the whole thing too. If you say, "Oh yeah, Corlys would back his son," and then everyone would just like fall into line normally. No, Corlys would back his son, and then Otto would have to figure out. He'd fill the void that it seemed like Corlys filled as soon as Otto took the place next to King V's side in the original timeline or series of events. So Otto might even like back Rhaenyra's claim, because you saw Otto. Otto's very pragmatic too. He didn't want Rhaenyra on the throne, but he would be willing to appoint her as heir to avoid Daemon, right?
Absolutely, to avoid Daemon, and maybe even then, if Otto's still the hand of this new queen, Rhaenyra, then he still has much more control of the realm. Because I think there's a lot to Otto too, where he kind of thinks that the realm. It's not even just that he's power hungry and he wants to be this alternate or this ultimate ruler, but I don't think he trusts other people to be able to do the same job, as effectively as himself, and which is like an ego thing. It's fine. But I think, like you say, that could easily lead him to back Rhaenyra, especially, and we talked about this privately a lot, if the Velaryons have King V, there's really not going to be a big push to have Laenor marry Rhaenyra. There's really not a huge reason. I mean, they could still try it, but there's not a huge reason. And, Laenor is gay as hell, so behind the scenes, it's not going to work that well. But if, let's say, Otto Hightower, King V is still going to be pissed off at Rhaenyra, right? She's still going to be a shitster who is in no way preparing for her, apparently, succession later in life. Like, bullshit. She doesn't care about it. But eventually, she does come to care about it. And King V is still going to say, no, Rhaenyra, enough of your shit. You're going to marry whoever I tell you to marry, whether or not you like it. And that could easily be one of the Hightowers. It could be either Otto's son, or it could be his nephew, who is heir to Old Town. So in that situation, there is no doubt that Otto would back that. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Otto would put similar pressure onto King V as Corlys did in the first season of Game of Thrones. In the first season of House of the Dragon, Corlys was looking to shop around to his son Laenor to, I think, some person in Essos, I think, the Triarchy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
And that's what kind of gave King V was like, damn, Rhaenyra just keeps dragging her feet, and I really need to keep this realm stable. So a good way he keep it stable in the alternate situation with Laena being married to King V is, I got to marry Rhaenyra off to the Hightowers, because the Hightowers, I don't know how much they really explicitly show it in the show. They're so powerful.
Not enough.
They have the religious headquarters there, and the Citadel, right? So they're it's information and religion.
I know it's actually unbelievable, and it's actually high standard to live in there compared to some place like King's Landing. It's actually a really cool place, and I think in Game of Thrones as well, in the main series, they did not show us that place whatsoever.
They better show us in season 2, dude.
I need it. Better. The way they portrayed the Citadel and Old Town in Game of Thrones, if you didn't know anything about the books or anything about the map of Westeros and you just watched the show, Old Town, when Sam goes there to learn the secrets of the Maesters, it seems like it's in some far-off continent, like a huge travel away, but it's not. It's just right next to, the Crown Lands. It's right next to the Crown Lands. So, they did a disservice to Old Town in both Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, and it's very undersold. It's undersold as how important it is, and I think that Rhaenyra would be super smart, and King V would be super smart to marry her to them, but it would just cause more conflict in the end. It would be the exact same thing, except like you said, Corlys and Otto are basically just on opposite sides of it. Corlys is going to be just as pissed about the concept of Rhaenyra becoming queen as Otto was, because, again, Rhaenyra is a shitster who does not care about politics. She spent the first half of her life completely blowing off all responsibility. It's ridiculous, honestly, that she thinks she can have the throne.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. And on top of it, I think people don't realize, even if we exchange these whatever players in the Game of Thrones right now, Rhaenyra, King V, Daemon, if we just switch their personalities regardless, at a certain point, the weight of how much power is being accumulated at this family with all the dragons, it's inevitably going to crumble down, because one person's going to eventually, like when you have so many people, breeding and dying, there's so many lines of I'm trying to remember how many not special councils, what are they called? The council at Harrenhal, that's where they picked King V or Viserys over Rhaenys. There's a bunch of those throughout the Song of Ice and Fire series where they have this succession crisis. So there's going to be succession crisis, and then on top of it, you're going to have dragons to, like, back everyone's side. Of course, this is going to happen, and it was just inevitable. So I don't think if they were able to prevent it, maybe one generation, best case scenario, King V marries Laena, and somehow everyone's like kumbaya and love each other. At best, you get one generation.
I don't even think at best, because the only way I could conceivably even see some sort of temporary peace happening is if not only King V marries, whatever, but if King V decides to, because Otto's going to be pretty upset that King V just said, fuck you and your family, right? And he just only went for the Velaryons.
Yeah.
So if he continued to do that, and he said, sorry, Otto, you can't even have Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra's being married to Laenor in order to appease Corlys, because maybe King V would have the foresight to see this succession issue coming in down the road.
Right.
But if he does that, if he marries Laenor to Rhaenyra anyway, like, Otto's kind of shit out of luck. And if that does happen, and for some reason Rhaenyra and Laenor decide to grow a brain and just have Laenor, like, jerk off into a syringe, and then they artificially inseminate Rhaenyra so that her kids look like her kids before she goes off and cheats with Harwin Strong or maybe the Hightowers or whoever, right? Then maybe it would be okay, because I think Corlys would still be satisfied with Rhaenyra becoming queen, knowing that the next generation down would be his direct blood, looks exactly like him, and the realm wouldn't be pissed at her for being a slut either, because they would think, oh no, this is a legitimate kid. The only issue then would be the fact that a woman is on the throne, and I still think that would cause problems. But again, that was like 5 steps of things having to work out perfectly, and I don't think that would happen. Not to mention, if you alienate Otto to that extent, he's a wild card now. Who knows what he's going to do? And Larry Strong is another guy. Like, those two could team up and take down the whole realm if they wanted to, I feel like.
But then also think of, we haven't really talked that much about Daemon. He's going to be in the ear of Rhaenyra because, she just loves Uncle Damie. Oh. She wants that so badly. So again, another like a very volatile variable in all of this situation that will cause instability no matter what, because she wants to keep her legs open for her uncle. So,
Uncle D is going in there no matter what. Like, there's no situation where she doesn't end up with him. That's the craziest part. I don't see it. And maybe she wouldn't have to murder her spouse all the time. Well, actually, no. You know what? Now that I think about it, there's no way, because Laenor wants to be murdered, right? He wants to fake his death and go running off with Carl into the sunset. But if she married the Hightower son or whatever, they're still gonna have to get him out of the way somehow so that Uncle Daemon can come fill her hole, right? And he's not just gonna go willingly. I think he wants the power, he wants the responsibility. I think they're a pretty duty-bound house, so I think they might actually have to kill him.
Yeah, there'd definitely be tension, which is something they really did not show between Corlys and Daemon as of right now in the original series, because, like, I don't know, if you look at that, you're like, what the hell's going on here? Like, Rhaenys definitely blames Rhaenyra for Laenor's death, right? And then she kind of looks past it at a certain point because she realizes we can't really fight each other because we're eventually going to lose to this bigger threat known as the Greens. So they're not portraying it that much in the series because, come on, Daemon's fingerprints are all over Laena's death because it's his baby inside of her. And then on top
he didn't
of
even
it,
do it, but yeah.
I know. And then Daemon is, for some reason now, like, after your wife died, all of a sudden Rhaenyra's husband died. Like, ooh, what a coincidence.
Anyways, what do you think the timeline was for that? How much time elapsed between Laenor, quote unquote, dying, and then Daemon slipping in there publicly?
Oh,
how much time do you think
publicly? I don't know. Well, it's like, I guess it'd be
12 hours.
I think 12 hours as soon as they were, like, in person. Not even 12 hours, because, like, 12 hours, it's less than 12 hours. As soon as they were, like, on Drift Mart.
Yeah. For that, what was it, a funeral? Yeah, it was for the funeral.
Yeah. It was, the sun was, like, kind of down. I hate that scene. It's such a weird blue scene.
The only place in Westeros where it's, like, daytime and nighttime at once.
Yeah.
Strange solar anomaly.
I think we should do a bigger video about this, because then we could break down what's going on with Kristen Cole and maybe the Lannisters too. But hey, let us know down in the comments what you guys think. If there was some person we're missing here you think would be really completely different on it. But we definitely should do another video on this.
Yep, we're doing it.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and smash that like button.
Or not. We don't care.